Hey guys, Andrew Douglas Lane here at the Douglas Moon Fragrance channel, where I give my unsponsored and unpaid honest thoughts and opinions as I review fragrances from the cheaper end all the way to the niche, luxurious, and expensive. Now today, these fragrances are thought of a lot as niche, but personally I think there's a fragrance that they're very similarly connected to, at least one of them in the two. But I'm going to be comparing ones that are at least in the more moderate to cheaper price range and a little bit more affordable for what you get. And that is Gisada, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, I'm sorry, but Gisada's Ambassador Men versus Gisada's Ambassador Intense. I'm going to compare the two side to side. As usual, I'm going to try my best to keep this as mostly unedited as possible, so I'm not rehearsing anything, but I'm going to put them side to side. I got a sample here, and I ended up getting a full bottle of the Intense because I ended up, well, that's just what I purchased at the time because they were all out of samples, but also the price was pretty good. So I'm going to start with the original, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of marketing, and I'm going to read to you the notes. It says, Ambassador Men is an aromatic woody fragrance by the Swiss company Gisada, launched in 2019. It opens with cardamom, violet, green mandarin, and apple. The heart is filled with lavender, mango, patchouli, black pepper, and peony, while the notes of amber, vetiver, teakwood, moss, and vanilla fills the base. So I can't really, obviously, like this one, show you what the performance as far as the atomizer is concerned, but I can at least spray it. These samples, by the way, this is from Fragrance Net. These samples are fantastic. I actually had not smelled this one yet. I've only worn a few times and smelled the Intense, and it's actually wild how different it is from the Intense. The original, which is also an eau de parfum, by the way, so it's not like it's a weak concentration or anything. I'm just not going to be able to give you a great understanding of how the performance is, but it smells powerful. It smells like this one is a long laster, just like the other one, which is, by the way, giving you ahead of time some understanding, but you are very much getting that green mandarin with the apple and the mango. That's wild, that's interesting. Also, if you've ever smelled peony, my wife personally and professionally works with flowers. If you've ever smelled peony before in like a natural sense, there's a strange way that they've actually got a very raw overall fragrance profile going on under here. To give you an idea of the price, a full bottle for this, it says on the actual website, not on a discounter, is $85 for a 50 ml to $100, I believe, $19 for a 100 ml or a 3.4 fluid ounce. So honestly, at an extremely good price because you're getting a lot of value. This is a Swiss company. They're known for making good things usually in general, although Gisada is their own thing. Swiss people usually produce really good products. But it's very strong, very room-filling, even though all I did was spray just a little bit. This whole room is filled up with it right now. So, again, I'm not sponsored. I'm just being honest. It's great. It is unique. I wasn't expecting this. But the peony mixed with the, what is this again? The green mandarin and the apple? The way that it's blending with the cardamom and everything, it's just, it's distinct. It's different. It actually throws me off a little bit. Because real quick, before we come back to that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Ambassador Intense real fast. Because this is really throwing me off. So, and I'm glad I'm doing this actually unedited and live so I can have my real reactions right now because I had not smelled that yet. And that's really wild to me because it's way different than the Intense. If you ever get the chance to smell them, you know what I'm talking about. Because the Intense reminds me a lot of another fragrance. So this one came out in 2022. And this one is cardamom, nutmeg, licorice, incense, pink pepper, ginger, lavender. It's a lot. Elamine, whatever that is, mandarin orange, bergamot, and ozonic notes. The middle with intense scents of cinnamon, clove, jasmine, caramel, raspberry, orchid, geranium, freesia, and heliotrope. And then at the bottom, patchouli, tonka bean, amber, cashmere wood, musk, leather, Haitian vetiver, oak moss, and labdanum. They threw everything they have into the Intense to just give this whirlwind. You almost think with all that going on, which is wonderful for creativity purposes or whatever, like exploring around, experimenting, I'm sure as the perfumer was creating it, he or she was getting to really experience all the different profiles as they were making it and building it and compounding it together. But when you just smell it, you're not going to really get all these layers. You're just kind of going to get the accords overall that come together to make it what it is. With that being said though, right as soon as you pop the cap off, that licorice cardamom feel that you're getting, it smells almost identical, but with a little more sharpness perhaps, instead of an open, spacey spaciness and spiciness that you get from Dior's Elixir Sauvage, or Dior's Sauvage Elixir. I have a lot of familiarity with that. I've already reviewed it on here twice, and it's been one of my favorites for a long time. It's no longer in my top 10, or maybe it is, but it's been a long time favorite of mine We already know the popularity of Sauvage Elixir as a powerhouse, an absolute monster, but it's also a bit more on the pricey end, but it's worth it because of the materials and the quality of it, and the performance of it. But this smells almost completely identical with like maybe minor differences. Like you'd have to really be paying attention to it and side by siding to notice the differences at all. Although it doesn't have that Dior atomizer. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. As you can see, if you could even see that, it's a nice little spurt just coming out. And the price for this one isn't too much more than the original at full price. This one's price is, I believe it said $95 for a 50 mil, or if you get the 100 mil like I did, full price, it's $130, $135, I believe it is. So again, fantastic for what it's worth. And like I said, it's almost identical, but a little bit more spicy fall Christmassy than Sauvage Elixir. But it's literally like if you just get to the underlying core going through it, it's about the same. You could have this instead of Elixir and be like, wow, it's giving me what I was wanting out of Elixir. But I will say, not to bash it or to make it sound like I'm bashing it, it still has enough going on there that it is its own thing. I don't know if this was meant to be a copy or a clone. I'm not going to like insult them or even suggest that there's anything wrong with that if it was. I just don't know. But the bottle obviously kind of suggests that. But at the end of the day, it's its own thing. So it smells just like it in many ways, but there is still a difference on the top and the bottom that makes it its own thing. But I'm just saying, if you want that Sauvage Elixir core or DNA, you'll get that out of this. And you're even, honestly, from my trying this out, you're even going to get a similar projection and longevity. So the performance of this for the price, to me, is fantastic. But I'm comparing these two, and I know I got a little long-winded on this one because, like I said, it shocks me. Because the notes of this with that cardamom at the top, just like this, but the notes of this with that licorice feel, the labdanum and everything else that went into the Intense by Gisada, this ambassador is way different than the original. Because this one, this one is bright, has fruity feel to it, that peony, that fruity floral type of feel to it. Let me spray this again. This one is like rich, gorgeous fruit punch. Like that classic tropical fruit punch feel or Hawaiian punch. Take that and make it luxurious, make it expensive smelling, and blend it with cardamom and so much more. And you just have this, I don't know, I actually honestly feel like even though this one's worth having, I think this one's worth having for sure because of its performance and overall like that familiarity, but yet that little distinctness. I think this one's a little bit more my style because this is just something different. There's something very special about this one. I like this. In a way, it almost has a jammy nature to it, but it's still distinct. And I can tell this is a massive performer. So they're honestly completely different fragrances. You almost wouldn't even notice that these are supposed to be the same name, which happens a lot. If you compare Sauvage by Dior's Eau de Parfum to the Parfum and then smash that right next to their Elixir, which is also a Sauvage, completely different fragrances, you almost wouldn't even know that they're related to each other. The same thing is happening between Gisada's Ambassador and Gisada's Ambassador Intense. But I think they're honestly so different, but yet wonderful and strong and powerful. And for the price range, I think you can have them both. I really honestly think these are both worth having for most people in the fragrance community and the fragrance world because they're reasonable enough. They're not your Middle Eastern level price and cheapness for like what you get out of it, but they're just reasonable enough price that even if you got them full price instead of a discounter, you still can't complain. They're fantastic. I think it's got the projection, the strength. Again, I haven't tested this one, but it is very, very powerful, dense, and radiant. But I know that I work 10-hour shifts, and I sprayed this on my shirt, my hoodie, and as well when I put this on my skin. On the hoodie, this was like blasting off of me literally until I got off my shift. So whatever's in that DNA that even the Sauvage Elixir holds with the strong cardamom forward, overall sweet gourmand feel, it lasts and just sticks to you like glue. On the skin even, it stuck to me very, very well on my neck and on my hands without really going nose blind to it. It stuck, on my wrist. It stuck on me for a good whopping 8 hours, like coming off this far, and then continuing on into the evening. I started my day, I sprayed it on me around 5 a.m. and even around 7 p.m., which is well over 12 hours. I still was able to put my nose to my skin and smell that little lingering feel of it going on. It was very linear, but very nice. So overall, the sweetness, the vibe, the fruitiness here, that beautiful luxurious tropical punch versus that nice fall Christmassy type of overall feel you get from the Ambassador Intense. I think they're both worth having. I think they're both fantastic fragrances, and I'm honestly really glad I did this because I had not tried this out yet for some reason, even though I've had this for like a month, the original Ambassador Eau de Parfum. But they're two completely different things, and honestly, you could just have them both. So great price. Ambassador by Gisada's Man Eau de Parfum, and then Ambassador Intense by Gisada Switzerland. I think they're fantastic fragrances. I'll rate them both, honestly. This is rare for me. I'm going to give them both a 9.2 because the price versus performance versus the fragrances themselves, they're good enough to fall in that 9 category, because even though I haven't been grabbing it for them on a regular basis, I really think that nobody would be disappointed with these. That's my personal thoughts and opinions. But again, everybody is different. Everybody's subjective. But I highly recommend, I don't know if there's anywhere you can even go try these out, at least not here in the US where I'm at in North Carolina. But if you can try these out anywhere, do it before you buy. I always try to suggest that. But if you're thinking about pulling the trigger, you can't go wrong. And whichever one you go with first, hey, I don't think that you're going to lose. So again, Gisada Ambassador Intense and Ambassador Man Original Eau de Parfum, fantastic. So I'm going to give them both a nice, even, crisp 9.2. And you can't do one against the other. They're different, and yet with the same name, they're fantastic. So Andrew Douglas Ling, Douglas Moon Fragrance Channel, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who's already subscribed. And if you haven't yet and you want to see more of my reviews, hit the subscribe button, like, and leave me a comment of what fragrances you'd like to see me review and talk about. Tell me your favorite fragrances and what you're wearing right now. And I'm now on Instagram. I'm now doing TikTok as well. So it's the same name, Douglas Moon Fragrance. Find me there if you'd like to connect in different ways, especially on Instagram or wherever, or on TikTok. We can message each other and talk if you would like to. So until then, thank you. God bless each and every one of you. And I'm thankful for you all being here. And I welcome you all. And I'll see you next time.